Since the last relationship video did pretty well actually, and you guys gave some pretty good feedback with that last video, I'm gonna make another talking video about that. And I want to talk about the dating scene in college because I think a lot of people are kind of curious about that. And also, I think a lot of people forget to actually talk about this because it's not really a thing people talk about too much on YouTube just because one, maybe they're not like part of that dating scene, or two, they don't have much experience dating in college, or three, just they don't want to talk about it, which is completely I get it because dating college is not, it's fun, but it can be really messy at times. And you would think it's gonna be different from high school dating, which it is, but in a lot of ways it's kind of similar. And before I talk about anything with this whole conversation, these are from my experiences. Of course, it's not gonna be the same all around, but I'm just gonna say how it was from my experience of like dating within Boston. So it's gonna vary from like college to college and from place to place because the dating scene from what I've heard from all these other colleges and these other places are completely different. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, but for the most part, I feel like it's quite the same what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say like all the pretty broad stuff that I've discovered. Now, the dating scene in college is really what you make of it. It depends whether you go on Hinge, use Tinder, use any of those dating apps. Your experience is gonna vary widely. And I've actually used all those dating apps, and thankfully, it actually worked out for me with Hinge, which is actually surprising because for most people, it usually doesn't work out. They kind of just leave the app for God knows how long, and they usually come back to it, which happened to me a couple times. But I was lucky enough to actually meet my girlfriend off of Hinge. Hinge, if you're watching this, or you want to sponsor me, that'd be really cool. But yeah, Hinge sometimes works out. I've seen it work out with Tinder, but for the most part, you just have to get really, really lucky because if you're on any of those apps, you kind of just know people use that for hooking up, and especially in college, that's what they kind of use it for. And if you're not going, if you know that going into it, you won't really be disappointed because I feel like most college students aren't looking for anything serious these days. Is what I've noticed. No one's looking for anything long term. It's kind of hard to find that. People are looking for very short term flings and just hookups. I don't know if that's what I experienced just because of Boston, but that's what I've been seeing. It's kind of hard to get into a relationship these days. And if you're in one, you're extremely lucky because most people these days are scared of commitment, which is a whole different video that I can like talk about. Now, if you're not a fan of the dating apps, then your best bet in college is to go date someone within your classes that you meet or in clubs, which is probably the more natural way, and the people, how they end up dating people in college, it's the most common way. But I have not gotten lucky at all with that because I'm gonna be honest here, I did actually try to get some people's numbers at the gym and just other places, which is embarrassing to admit. And even though you can't get their number, for me specifically, it just kind of ended there. Like, it gave me a small ego boost, like I was able to get someone's number, which is like extremely like awesome. But then that kind of just ends there if you don't really have much to say after that because all you really did was just ask for someone's number at some random place that you found attractive, which that's a great thing to do. If you have the confidence to do it, I highly recommend it because, it makes you feel good also. Hopefully, it makes the other person feel good. If it doesn't, then back off. That's a huge thing. Don't, harass anyone if they don't want to give you the number. Don't push them to do it. That's probably common sense. But I do think that meeting people naturally within your classes or at events is probably the better way to go just because I feel like you'll have a more natural connection. You have more like sharing common with. And also, it doesn't feel fabricated because, to be perfectly honest, when you're on those dating apps, it feels kind of fabricated. Like, everyone there is just like judging by the people's looks at the first start. Like, when you're swiping through those profiles, you're obviously looking at their looks, which is fine because when you're dating someone, attraction starts physically, not usually, emotionally or mentally in most cases. But for me and most of other people, it starts with an attraction. Like, you swipe right on someone or you press like on their profile because you find them attractive. And in college, it's definitely like that. But to go on to my next point is it's really what you make of it, the dating scene in college. It truly is like that. If you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not like, going out to these clubs, going to these events, going to parties sometimes, which, meeting people at parties, if you're go out dating them, I kind of advise against that personally. I don't think that'd be the way to go, but a lot of people have done it and it's been successful that way. Yeah, so more power to you if you do it that way, but I personally don't appreciate meeting people that way because usually they're drunk and just not in the right mindset. But anyways, it's what you make of it, because it really, you got to put yourself out there if you want to be meeting anyone, and that's like the same if you want to meet friends or anyone like that. You really need to put yourself out there. You also need to not be a creep either, because I feel like there's so many creeps in college for some reason. I don't know why they all just like appear out of nowhere. They all spawn in college, and just don't be a creep. It's not that hard. And this goes for like girls and boys. It's just simple as that. Don't be a creep and you'll probably find someone to date. And being a creep means a lot of different things, but I don't want to go into that because that's not this type of video. But I think the biggest thing that I hear so much from people is they feel like they're missing out if they're not dating anyone in college, which is completely not true at all, because I think your college experience is really, like, it varies from experience to experience. It like doesn't have, it's not supposed to have a uniform path that you're supposed to follow. And if that were the case, then no one would be doing it right, because everyone has such a different path. And when it comes to dating, when people see other people dating, they just feel left out. It makes them feel more lonely, because I feel like in college, a lot of people are dating each other. A lot of people are discovering what they want in someone, and they're just trying to figure themselves out, which is one way to do it, but it's not the only way to do it. Because the main point of college, why you're here, is not to date someone to find someone to marry or find someone to date because you're bored. It's because you want to discover yourself. You want to find out who you truly are, and the things that make you passionate, and just the things that you look for in people. That's why you want to be in college, not to date. I'm gonna keep this talk short because there's so much to go into, and I do want to save this for a future video. So I'm not gonna dive too much deeper into it, but that's just the experiences that I've had when it comes to dating in college and just seeing the dating scene around here. And specifically at Boston University, it's pretty easy to date someone. So if you're thinking about going to Boston University and like, you're worried about finding someone, it's not too hard. It's pretty easy as long as you're just, you know, a likable person, which comes with anything. So don't be a creep, put yourself out there, and that's basically it. I'm gonna end it here because my food is here because I got delivery. Since the dining hall made me sick yesterday, I don't want to go back again. Okay, yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoy this talk. Hopefully, I'll be doing something soon, because for these past 2 or 3 days, nothing. Right? Bye.